Y'all, it's Katie. Welcome back to From My Vanity. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. It really does mean a lot to me when you click over upon seeing a new video from me. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about the long-awaited, much overdue, and probably no longer interesting LORAC Mega Pro 4 palette. Now, I have had this, oh my goodness, when did I do that unboxing? I did a makeup haul unboxing here on my channel. I can link it up, I think, in the cards, long time ago, and I tested it out for a solid month. It was in my October favorites, and then things just kept happening and the review just kept getting pushed back and back and back, and I kept doing other videos. But today we're going to do it because I did live eye swatches with this baby, so I don't want those to go to waste. So I want to make sure I get this review done and out. If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge LORAC Pro eyeshadow palette fan. I like the LORAC as a brand, but I just love their eyeshadow Pro palettes. So I really do want to review this. I enjoy reviewing their Pro palettes, and I've reviewed 2 and now 3 of the 4 palettes that they've released over the years, and I just love them. So I do want to go ahead and do this on my channel just to have it out there. And you know, if you're still considering trying to decide if you want to purchase this or not, I hope this review helps you. And if not, I hope you just enjoy watching me live swatch all of these shades on my eyeballs, because that was fun. So anyway, let's just dive right in. Now in this review, I'm not going to be comparing the Mega Pro 4 palette against the previous Mega palettes or any other palettes from LORAC. I feel like there are a lot of really good videos out there, and one that comes to the top of my head is from Georgia Harris. I will have it linked down below. But let's just talk about the palette. Now as far as formula goes and like quality wise, these eyeshadows in this Mega Pro 4 palette are just as good as their previous Pro palettes and Mega Pro palettes. There are a couple duds which we will get into, or at least I should say there are a couple what I consider to be duds, and we'll get into that when I kind of show you the live swatches and explain each of the shades. But overall, this palette as a whole is just really good quality. The mattes are really smooth, buttery, pigmented. The shimmers are very nice and also smooth, very pigmented. Some of them are more like metallic and some of them are more shimmery, with the exception of I think 1 or 2 has some glitter chunks in it, which I hated and I will probably never use. I know Lotus I used one day and I had glitter like falling on my face the whole day. I think they did something really unique with this Mega Pro 4 palette. And now take into consideration, this is Mega Pro 4. You know, they've come out with 3 other mega palettes, and I was actually surprised that they're coming out with a 4th one because I thought they would just stop at the 3rd. And so when I heard that they were, I was very intrigued. One, because another Pro palette, I'm all for it. I'm a big Mega Pro fan, but I love the LORAC Pro formula, so any Pro palette that they release, I like to get it and have it in my collection. But and 2, I was curious what they would add, what they would put in, because they've done 4 huge, or 3 in the past, now 4, but they've done 3 other big palettes, and it's like, what else can you do? What else can you put in there to make it unique, to make it something that goes like, oh, like, I want that in my collection because it's different, it's unique. And I feel like they did a really good job of staying true to who they are as a brand, because when I think about LORAC Cosmetics and their Pro palettes, I think of very neutral, everyday, easy type of girl. I just think of them as, you know, the go-to neutral eyes. Like if you're wanting to get started into makeup, I think the LORAC Pro palettes are a fantastic one to start with, because you can pick the one, like the undertone that suits you the best, either warm, cool, neutral. They have, you know, they have something for everyone, I feel like, and you can just get really safe and just go to easy eye looks from them. And so I thought that they did a great job of staying true to who they are with being neutral and safe, but giving you some safe colors to play with. So if you're someone who doesn't like to venture out very often, I think you need to take a hard look at this palette. And the reason I say that is because like they have color in here, but they're very more neutral colors. Like this green is a very soft kind of foamy green, and they got the steel wool. They have a blue, which I think is like the most vibrant shade in here. And then they have a lot of safe mattes, but I think the thing that's unique with this is that they have neutrals that I feel like they don't have in many of their other palettes. So this makes a great almost companion palette, if that makes sense. And I know like this is a huge palette. What am I talking about? Companion palette. But I feel like if I were to take this and then have like my LORAC Pro original palette, like I could create so many looks, because like the dark chocolate and the shadow, they're not very dark brown and dark black, but I know that in the LORAC Mega Pro palette, they have that black and that dark brown. So it's like that they stuck colors in here, but they're a little different from what they have in most of their other palettes, so it gives you something different to work with, and it helps you to create more, unique and fun looks, I feel like. And throughout this review, I'm going to try to be sticking in some looks that I've done with this palette. Quality isn't the best because it's just my front-facing camera, but it gives you an idea of the looks that I was able to create using this palette. And I just think that they're a lot of fun and they're very unique. I just like the variety that they included in this. And I think it's very fun and different and something different from LORAC that they brought out. And I kind of wish that they would have gone a little bit more creative with their shimmers down here like they did up here with their mattes. A couple here on the bottom. There are a lot of very close colors, and when you use those shades on your eyes, and I think I even listed down. So like Honey and Copper Pearl, these two shades right here, when you swatch them or if you use them on your eyes, they look pretty darn similar. And then Pearl Slate, Misty Mauve, let's see, where's Pearl Slate, Misty Mauve, and then Silver Fox. These three shades right here are all pretty darn similar. Like when you see them in the swatches, they have a little differences, but not really. Like they could have changed that up for a different color just to add some more color. And then last up, like Steel Wool and Fairy Tale are very similar. Steel Wool is a little bit more like steel, and then Fairy Tale, I feel like, I don't know, just has a bit of a different kind of silver, almost like a purpley silver. So there is a little bit of difference, but I feel like with those type of shadows, like once they're on your eyes, can you really tell a difference? So I feel like they could have taken a few of their choices for the shimmery side and done some different colors to really have made this like an outstanding, like one-of-a-kind must-have palette. Anyway, at this time, let's take a pause and go ahead and dive into my live eye swatches. If you've never seen live eye swatches, I did get this inspiration from that girl Shay here on YouTube. I think she's the only one that I've ever seen do live eye swatches like this, so I do want to shout her out, and I will have her channel linked down below. But basically, I'm going to swatch each of the shadows onto my eyes. I will be cleaning my brush in between with the Ulta Beauty Smart's New Hue Shadow Switching Pan, which kind of just cleans off the brush and makes sure there's no residue from the previous color. And then for all my mattes, I will be using the Sonia Kashuk Tools number, I think it's 23. I'll have it linked down below. The writing's mostly worn off of this thing, but I find this great for packing on mattes and blending in mattes onto my lid and into my crease. And then for the shimmers, I'm just going to be using my e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. That is $1. This is the best eyeshadow brush for packing on shimmers onto my lid. I highly recommend it to everyone I ever talk to. But yeah, let's just dive right into the live swatches. So first up with Cotton, it's really nice and white and matte, and I like that they included something that is so stark white into this palette. Then next up with Flamingo, it's that pinky matte. It is gorgeous. I am impressed with how pigmented this shade is for being such a light kind of soft pink that it is. Very smooth, very pigmented, very easy to blend. No complaints with this one. Cool Taupe also is a perfect matte brow bone color for me. It's very smooth, very pigmented. Yeah, no complaints with this one either. Great eyeshadow. Next up, we have Butterscotch. It's really great to warm up into the crease. Not the most pigmented, but it is also basically my skin tone. But it does work really well. I like it. It's a great shade. Next up, we have Cedar. Now, this is a really unique color that I'm glad that they added. It's very cool tone, and it's not too dark, so it's really nice to kind of use to deepen up the outer crease if you're not wanting to go too deep and smoky. Very nicely pigmented, very smooth, very blendable, no issues, and it's a lovely shade. Next up, we have Mocha. Now, between Butterscotch and Mocha, I feel like Butterscotch is nice to just kind of get the crease warmed up, and then Mocha is really good at giving me that transition shade that I want in my crease. Mocha is very smooth, pigmented, no issues there. It's a great shade. Now, next up is Denim, and I feel like it's a very unique shade for LORAC, especially being a matte, but they did a great job with this. It's very soft, builds up nicely, pretty pigmented. You do have to build it up because it's not that intense of a blue. I really do like this shade. I think it's really pretty, really smooth. The pigmentation's there. And then last up in the first row is Shadow. And this is a smoky gray, very pigmented, blends well. It is not straight up black, which I think is unique and different from what they usually put in their pros and their just regular, or their Mega Pros and the regular palettes. So it gives you something different. Moving on to the second row, Pink Peony is a perfect brow bone highlight that has just the touch of pink. It's a really nice shade. I've used it many times to do my brow bone highlight. Very pigmented, very soft. I like it. Now next up is and I feel like this is the least used matte eyeshadow in this palette. It's very nice and it's nicely pigmented. It's very smooth, blends nicely, but I don't know if it's just the color because it's so cool tone, but it just doesn't show up much for me. So wasn't one of my favorite matte shadows in this palette. And then we have a light sage. Didn't feel creamy, just felt powdery, which is not typical of LORAC shadows. I felt like it just kind of would puff away when I was working it into my eyes, so it was kind of a disappointment. Then we have Sugar Cookie, and it's pretty much the same as Light Sage. Yeah, not as pigmented as their other matte shades, and again, this could be just because of the color tone and undertone it has just not showing up on my skin type. So if you're very fair, I could see it working for you, but for me, Oat, Light Sage, and Sugar Cookie were the duds out of the matte shadows for this palette for me personally. Then we have Mahogany. It's very creamy, blends well, nicely pigmented. I like that this was kind of a cool toned twist to it, so that was really nice. And yeah, nicely pigmented, no issues with that. Then we have Blackberry, also smooth and pigmented. It's very unique from what I've seen in other LORAC eyeshadow palettes, I feel like, and I feel like it's almost got that purpley, it's like a cool tone purple twist to it. So I really enjoyed that color and that's really fun. Then next up we have Spice, which I also really like. Very smooth, pigmented. Their darker matte shades are just outstanding. It's like a brick cool red orange. It's just really unique, really beautiful. It's just a fantastic matte shade. And if you like the color, the quality is there. And then last up for the mattes is a dark chocolate. No complaints with this. It's very smooth, very pigmented. It is a very nice chocolate brown and will work really well to deepen up an outer corner, a lower lash line, whatever the case may be. All right, let's move down to the shimmer rose. First up, we have Foam. It's a cream skin tone type of inner corner highlight. It's got a satin finish more than I would call it a shimmer finish. Then next we have Honey. This is very smooth and pigmented. It's a very nice shimmer. It's extremely smooth, not chunky whatsoever. Very easy formula to work with. I do like this one. Then next up we have Pearl Slate. Now this is also like, just when you feel these shadows, they're so smooth. It gives you a gorgeous color on your lids though. Very like a cool tone type of taupe. Easy to blend. Yeah, just very easy to work with. Next up we have Moss, which is probably my favorite in this palette, mostly because it's green. You guys know I love a green eyeshadow. This is very smooth. It's like a shifty green to gold almost kind of shimmer shadow, and it's stunning. I love it. So next up we have Steel Wool, and it's just a touch more powdery. Not bad. Still really pigmented, still really easy to blend, and gives you more of that metallic look. Gorgeous. I really do like this shade as well. And next up we have Copper Pearl. Now I mentioned in the beginning, Honey and Copper Pearl very similar. I actually kind of prefer Copper Pearl over Honey. But very nice color, very smooth, pigmented, really pretty, very nice shade to have in this palette. Next up we have Peacock, and boy is this a blue. This is a shimmer bordering on, in my opinion, on a metallic finish. If you wet this, it is definitely gives you that intense metallic look you want. It's still very smooth to work with, which is really nice. This shade I had no complaints at all. And it's a fun, really vibrant deep blue. Now Lagoon is a really unique shade. It's like a smoky color, but it has chunks of purple in it. And if you really pack this on the lid, you will be able to see that purple still, but if you are trying to blend this into anything, the purple pretty much blends away. It is pretty. It's just very different. All right, last row we have Unicorn. This is really smooth, iridescent shift with a pearly base. It's just such a unique shade. It kind of goes from pearl to purple to pink on your lid. Very beautiful. I've used this several times and I always get a lot of compliments. Next up we have Lotus, which is a big no for me. Not only is it a very soft shadow, but it has like glitter chunks in it and not a whole lot of color payoff. You really have to pack it on to get the color to show up, and then throughout the day, like the glitter kept falling all over my face. So that was definitely a dud in this palette. Fairy Tale looks super pretty and metallic in the pan, but I feel like if you use a brush and try to pack it on the lid, it takes a lot of building up to really get that kind of gray color that you want. If you're someone who uses your finger, you probably will have no problems. Misty Mauve is really pretty. It's more satin, but it has these like silver glitter chunks in it. If you kind of pack it on and brush it, you know, kind of blend as you go, you'll just be left with the shimmer and most of the glitter will be gone. It's very similar to like Pearl Slate and Silver Fox. I just end up going with one of those over Misty Mauve, but it's okay. And moving right into Silver Fox, this is a shade I prefer because it's very soft, nice, a shimmer bordering on metallic, really pretty, very pigmented, smooth, easy to blend, no issues. So yeah, I always go with Silver Fox over Misty Moth. Plum is also a really unique shade. It's definitely satin. Like, I really don't see this as a shimmer. It's kind of a pinky mauve. This is really pretty if you're wanting a very subtle look, or if you have very fair skin tones and just want very soft mauvey pink. It's very smooth, pretty, and it's really nicely pigmented. The next up with Vamp, it's a very smooth shimmer, pigmented, no complaints really at all with it. This is a great shade if you're wanting to get a purple smoky eye. Overall, yeah, a nice shade. The quality is there, and it's more unique purple because it's almost bordering on like gray, so really pretty. And then last up we have Raven, and this is a smoky black with, of course, glitter. I don't know why LORAC always does this, but they like to put a black with glitter. So it was, not that it's a dud, because I feel like the quality is there and it's one of the better shimmers with glitter chunks in it that I've seen LORAC do, but it's just not something I'm going to be reaching for very often. All right, so those are the live eye swatches. I hope that was helpful to see these on the eyes. And I didn't say before, but please keep in mind that all these live eye swatches are done without primer on my lids. And I'm a firm believer in an eyeshadow primer, both because I have very oily eyelids, so I depend on a primer to help my eyeshadows last throughout the whole day. But also I feel like eyeshadow primers just in general, doesn't matter high end, low end, they always give the eyeshadow a bit more intensity and pack a bigger punch. So just keep in mind as you were watching those swatches, they do show up a little maybe easier, more pigmented when you have an eyeshadow base underneath them. So I hope that was helpful to you. That's why I tried to do them. All right, so wrapping this up, do I like this palette? Yes. If I was not a collector of LORAC Mega Pro eyeshadow palettes, would I buy and recommend this? Yes, because I feel like this gives me some shades in my collection that are unique and that I don't already have. Which, if you're an eyeshadow palette junkie like me, that can be rare. So if you're someone who also wants to get into exploring color, I think this is a great palette to go for. I know it can look like all these are basically the same color and they'll show up the same on your skin tone, but I hope I showed you in the live swatches and just kind of talking through each shade that they're not all the same. They do give you something different. Now, if you're very dark, I don't think this is a palette to go for, just because there are so many light shades that I feel like they'll just all look ashy or basically the same on your skin tone. But yeah, overall, I really do like this palette. I know people complain about how dirty these get, but I really don't care, because I think a dirty palette just shows how much you love it and how much you use it. Anyway, I think that about wraps this video up. I hope this review was helpful to you. Please let me know down below what other points or things you would like to see be mentioned in a review. Definitely let me know if I kind of didn't mention something about this palette that you would have liked to see. I would love some constructive criticism on my reviews. This is only the second one I've done, I think. And so I'm still learning, still trying to figure things out and be able to give you a thorough review, but not take an hour of your time, because I feel like I can talk forever, especially when it's a palette this big. But anyway, yeah, I do hope that was helpful. Let me know down below what else I can do to kind of improve my reviews, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.